picture this scenario, right? You're at a crowded dinner party. The table's full of people. The food is fantastic. The music is playing in the background.
Sounds like a great night.
It does. But if you look really closely, half the people at the table are, subtly glancing down into their laps.
Oh, yeah. The dreaded under-the-table scroll.
Exactly. Like they are physically occupying a chair, but cognitively, they are 100 miles away. They're scrolling through a feed of complete strangers or, I don't know, texting someone who isn't even in the room.
Right.
And it's just this great irony of our time. We've optimized our lives for absolute maximum connectivity, and yet
We're navigating a society that feels more profoundly lonely than ever.
yes,
Yeah.
more emotionally isolated than ever before. So today we are taking a massive step back for this deep dive. We're looking at a document called Renewed Focus on Real-World Interactions Over Apps, and we are unpacking this huge tidal wave of a cultural shift.
It really is a tidal wave.
Right. People are just hitting a wall with this hyper-connected, asynchronous lifestyle, and they are actively, almost aggressively, returning to real-world, face-to-face interactions.
Yeah, it is a massive recalibration. I mean, for the last decade, the baseline assumption was just, more digital connection automatically equals more human connection.
Which makes sense on paper.
On paper, sure. But we're seeing a hard pivot now. People are recognizing that the whole architecture of these digital platforms, right, like the way they process our social interactions, it's fundamentally incompatible with how human beings actually build meaningful relationships.
Wow.
Yeah, so we aren't just talking about a cute little digital detox weekend. We're looking at a complete lifestyle transformation. And it's driven by a very real, very physiological phenomena, which is digital fatigue.
Okay. Let's unpack this, because when you look at the symptoms of digital fatigue in the source material, it isn't just about feeling a little tired of your phone at the end of the day.
No, not at all. It's much deeper.
Right. We are talking about chronic burnout, a measurable decay in attention spans, and just this ambient, low-level emotional exhaustion that seems to hum in the background of everyday life for so many of you listening.
Yeah, and that exhaustion, it's not a metaphor. It is a measurable depletion of the brain's resources. It's not just from staring at a glowing rectangle for too many hours.
It's what the screen is actually forcing your brain to do, right?
Exactly. The human brain simply did not evolve to process the sheer volume of social data that we throw at it every single hour.
Right.
Just think about the cognitive architecture of context switching. Like in the span of maybe 60 seconds on a smartphone, you might read this incredibly urgent email from your boss.
Oh, the stress spikes immediately.
Right, stress spikes. Then you immediately swipe to, say, a high-definition video of a tragic natural disaster somewhere.
So now you're feeling grief or panic.
Yep. And then you swipe again, and suddenly you're looking at a heavily edited, perfectly lit photo of a college friend's vacation in Bali.
It's just emotional whiplash.
It really is. Every single time you swipe, your brain's frontal lobe has to aggressively dismantle one emotional and cognitive framework and construct an entirely new one, over and over.
It's like a computer running out of RAM. You have 50 tabs open, and the processor is just buffering endlessly because it can't even figure out which application to prioritize.
That is a perfect analogy. That buffering is literally your cognitive load maxing out. Your brain is burning immense amounts of glucose just to keep up with that emotional whiplash.
Wow.
And, you do that for 3 hours a day, it leaves your executive function completely depleted.
So that's the biological root of the burnout.
Exactly. You feel exhausted because you've been making thousands of micro-calculations about social hierarchy, global threats, professional obligations, all while just sitting completely still on your couch.
And it creates this incredibly strange paradox.
Yeah.
Like, my favorite analogy for this is our current digital diet is basically like eating highly processed junk food.
Oh, yeah. Empty calories.
Right. You're consuming thousands of social data points.
Yeah.
So you feel full temporarily, but you are completely starved of actual connection. You're malnourished. You start craving a real home-cooked meal of genuine human interaction.
Because you are absorbing a high-definition simulation of life, but it lacks the actual physics of reality.
Right, because online, everything is just so highly curated.
What's fascinating here is the sheer difference in how our brains encode those two completely different types of reality.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Well, the curated digital reality, right? It triggers this constant, almost subconscious comparative analysis. You are constantly looking at those metrics.
The likes, the follower
The
counts.
engagement, exactly. And your brain is constantly calculating your social standing based on that. It's exhausting. But when you move into the unfiltered reality of the physical world,
That comparative architecture just shuts down.
it shuts down. You're interacting with the messy, unedited beauty of another human being.
Yeah, you get the spontaneous laugh that makes someone accidentally snort.
Yeah.
You get that awkward pause while someone searches for the right word.
Hmm.
You get the genuine, totally unfiltered micro expressions that just cannot be mapped onto a digital interface, no matter how good the app is.
And that messy reality is what actually builds deep, meaningful connection. You bypass all the anxiety of constant comparison.
And that ships us perfectly into the biological mechanics of this trend. Because, why does getting off an app and sitting across a physical table from someone actually change our neurochemistry?
It comes down to how human nervous systems interact when they are in physical proximity.
Okay.
When you spend time in person with someone, especially a loved one, you're engaging in this process called co-regulation.
Co-regulation, gotcha.
Yeah, our nervous systems literally read each other. So when you make eye contact with a friend, your brain is processing their pupil dilation, the microcontractions of their facial muscles, the subtle shifts in the tone of their voice.
So it's taking in a ton of data, but good data.
Exactly. That dense physical data stream tells your amygdala, which is the brain's threat detection center, right?
Right.
It tells your amygdala that you are safe.
And that feeling of safety is what triggers the whole chemical cascade we hear so much about.
Precisely. Once the brain registers that deep physical safety, it releases a huge surge of feel-good hormones, namely oxytocin and serotonin.
Which are the heavy hitters for happiness.
Big time. Oxytocin facilitates trust and emotional bonding, while serotonin stabilizes your mood and creates this lasting sense of well-being. Plus, physical presence activates mirror neurons in a way that two-dimensional digital communication simply cannot replicate.
So if you smile, I smile.
Right. When your friend smiles in front of you, your mirror neurons fire as if you were smiling yourself, which creates a truly shared emotional state.
Okay, wait, hold on. I need to jump in here and just push back a little bit on this.
Sure, go for it.
Because from a purely logistical standpoint, asynchronous communication like texting, sending a quick voice note, leaving a comment, it is just incredibly efficient.
It is very efficient, yes.
Right.
Like if I want to let a friend know I'm thinking about them, I can fire off a text in 3 seconds flat.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to, coordinate schedules, commute all the way across town, sit in terrible traffic, and then navigate the potential awkwardness of a 2-hour coffee meetup.
Fair point.
So isn't it just easier and less anxiety-inducing to text? Why isn't that quick text enough to sustain a real bond?
Well, because efficiency is the exact enemy of intimacy.
Oh, wow. Efficiency is the enemy of intimacy.
Yeah. You're conflating information transfer with emotional resonance.
Hmm.
Yes, you can transfer the information that you are thinking about someone via text in 3 seconds, and that generates a very quick, very sharp spike of dopamine in the recipient's brain.
And dopamine feels good.
It does feel good. But dopamine is a novelty and reward neurotransmitter. It's designed by nature to be fleeting, so it spikes, it crashes, and it leaves you immediately craving another hit.
Like reaching for your phone again 5 minutes later.
Exactly. That is the architecture of an addiction, not a relationship. Real-world interactions provide genuine feedback and appreciation, which actually builds real self-esteem, unlike the fleeting validation of just getting a like on a post.
So the friction, right, the
Yeah.
commuting, the scheduling, the awkwardness you have to push through that is actually a necessary feature, not a bug.
100%. The friction demonstrates investment.
Right.
When you sit in traffic to go see someone, you are signaling to their biology that they are worth a significant expenditure of your most finite resource, which is your time.
You can't fake that.
You really can't. That physical effort builds an enduring foundation of trust. Because face-to-face communication allows for body language, tone, eye contact. These are the essential building blocks for emotional intimacy. You can't hit backspace on a spoken sentence.
No, you definitely can't.
Face-to-face communication carries real risk, and it is precisely that risk that allows for genuine vulnerability to flourish.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. When we take this exact framework, this absolute necessity of physical risk and shared context, and we apply it to modern romance.
Oh, the dating world. Yes.
Right, because while dating apps obviously still exist, we're seeing a massive, massive shift toward organic connections. People are rebelling against the gamification of dating.
Yeah, swiping left and right basically turned finding a human partner into a catalog shopping experience.
It totally did.
And the dating apps created this illusion of infinite abundance. When you have a seemingly endless grid of potential partners right in your pocket, the brain adopts a ruthless consumerist mindset.
You start filtering human beings by arbitrary metrics, height, job title, zip code.
Right, and you dismiss them at the first tiny sign of friction. It created this whole culture of disposability. But what people are realizing now is that they want the context that apps completely strip away.
So they're opting to meet through friends or community events, shared activities.
Exactly. They want to meet at a run club or a pottery class or just through their social circle. This naturally reduces the immense pressure of app dating.
Because organic connections provide built-in social proof.
Yes, exactly.
Like if I meet someone at a dinner party hosted by my best friend, there is already a baseline level of trust established.
Right.
I don't have to conduct a hostile interrogation to figure out if they are a decent person.
Right. You can just observe them in their natural habitat.
I can see how they interact with the host, how they handle a spilled drink or how they tell a story to a group of people.
And that shared environment allows the relationship to develop at a much more natural, unforced pace. On an app date, the stakes are artificially high.
Well, they're terrifyingly high.
You're sitting across a table from a complete stranger, performing this high-wire act of self-presentation. But when you meet organically through a shared activity, the focus isn't entirely on each other.
The focus is on the activity.
Right. The connection builds in the periphery, which dramatically lowers the activation energy required to just be yourself.
And there's a striking detail from the source material here. The data shows that couples who step away from text-based negotiation and spend more time offline actually communicate better.
It makes complete sense.
It seems obvious, yeah. But if you build the foundation of your relationship through texting, you have the luxury of time. You can draft a response to an argument, delete it, tweak the tone, show it to your group chat for feedback.
And then finally hit send.
Exactly.
Which completely bypasses the real work of conflict resolution.
Right.
Text arguments tend to escalate because humans naturally have a negativity bias when reading written text. Without vocal inflection or facial cues, we just naturally assume the worst possible tone from the other person.
Oh, I've definitely done that.
We all have. But real-world interactions force active listening and meaningful dialogue. You cannot leave someone on read when they are standing right in your kitchen.
You have to sit in the uncomfortable silence.
You have to navigate the real-time emotional reactions. And doing that successfully, resolving conflicts in real time, is what builds the deep muscular trust that sustains a long-term commitment. Relationships built on shared physical memories just have a stronger foundation.
Now, I want to take this craving for authenticity and look at how it's completely transforming an industry that has historically been the absolute epicenter of performative aesthetics.
I think I know where you're going with this.
The wedding industry.
Yeah.
Ultimate test case.
Right. For years, the ultimate goal for so many couples was this Pinterest-perfect, Instagrammable event. The aesthetic was the primary objective.
The wedding industry really became the ultimate casualty of the social media era.
Right.
The focus entirely shifted from the internal experience of the couple to the external perception of the audience. Couples were basically planning their weddings from a third-person perspective.
Making decisions based on how the lighting would look on a digital feed. Exactly. Or whether a specific moment would go viral on TikTok, rather than how it would actually feel to stand in that room holding hands. It put couples into spectator mode at their own life milestone.
But the cultural shift away from apps is uniquely transforming this bridal space. The backlash is definitely here. And it's fascinating to watch platforms adapt. Like a prime example from the source material is this platform called Weddizer.
Yes, Weddizer is highly indicative of where the culture is heading.
They are essentially helping couples pivot away from that superficiality toward creating deeply personal experiences, right?
Exactly. Weddizer recognizes that when you optimize an event for a camera lens, you hollow out the actual human experience. What platforms like Weddizer do is help couples recenter the planning process entirely around intimate ceremonies, tactile experiences, and meaningful rituals.
So they're prioritizing the flow state of the event over the production value.
Right. It's the difference between pausing a beautiful, emotional moment to make sure the photographer got the right angle versus just living the moment and letting it exist in your memory.
And from the pre-wedding events to the big day itself, the focus is returning to authentic connections. Weddizer ensures the memories are powerful in real life, not just on a digital feed.
Yeah.
It isn't about creating content. It's about creating an environment where a spontaneous inside joke can happen at table 4.
And that distinction is vital for memory encoding.
How so?
Well, human memory is state-dependent. We remember how we felt.
Right.
If a couple spends their entire wedding day managing the visual production of the event, posing, adjusting, performing for a future digital audience, their actual memory of the day will be incredibly flat.
That is so sad to think about.
It is. But by using platforms like Weddizer to strip away that performative pressure, the memories carry actual dense emotional weight. The unscripted moments, like the tearful hug with a grandparent that no camera caught those, become the anchor points of the experience.
It is the ultimate rejection of the digital gaze.
Yeah.
And I think this brings us to a crucial pivot in this deep dive. Because the goal of understanding all of this, it isn't to demonize technology entirely.
No, definitely not.
Nobody is suggesting we smash our servers, throw our smartphones in a lake, and retreat to an off-grid cabin. That's just a total boycott, a reactionary fantasy.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's really about balance. It is fundamentally about returning technology to its rightful place as a tool rather than a primary habitat.
I love that. A tool, not a habitat.
Right. Like a hammer is a fantastic tool for building a house, but you don't want to live inside the hammer.
Right.
An app should be a bridge to a real-world interaction. You use the messaging platform to coordinate the time and place for the coffee meetup, and then you put the tool away. You use the dating app to find someone with shared interests, and then you quickly move the interaction into the physical world.
So the apps complement real life. They don't replace it. And to make that actionable for you listening, there's a practical action plan from the source material for engineering this balance back into your life.
And it's not about relying on willpower, because willpower always depletes.
Exactly. So step 1, set digital boundaries.
Yeah.
And this doesn't just mean a vague promise to use your phone less.
No, it means creating structural friction. You have to schedule specific, non-negotiable, app-free hours to create space for reality.
So maybe the phone charges in the kitchen overnight so your bedroom is entirely analog.
Or perhaps you implement a strict rule during dinner where all devices are physically out of sight. By doing that, you're literally letting the brain's RAM clear out.
Step 2 is to intentionally engage socially.
Yeah.
And this requires pushing through that initial inertia.
Yeah.
You have to actively place yourself in environments where face-to-face interaction is naturally encouraged.
Whether that is a community garden, a local sports club, or going to specific events, you're seeking out spaces where the shared context does the heavy lifting for you.
Step 3, prioritize quality time. This is about depth, spending 2 hours watching a movie together while both scrolling on your respective phones. That does not count.
No, it doesn't. Quality time means undivided, uninterrupted attention. Going for a walk without devices, cooking a meal together.
Just being fully present with a partner, family, or friends.
When you give someone your undivided attention, you are giving them the rarest commodity in the modern economy. It rapidly accelerates emotional intimacy.
Which leads perfectly into the final step. Practice mindfulness. In this context, it simply means noticing your own urge to escape into a screen and putting the device away.
Our brains hate boredom and they hate vulnerability. The moment a conversation lulls, the instinct is to reach for the dopamine dispenser in our pocket.
Right.
Mindfulness is simply the act of observing that urge, pausing, and choosing to remain fully present in the moment. You choose to ask a follow-up question. You choose the messy reality.
So what does this all mean? When we zoom out and look at everything we've unpacked today, the core theme is clear. Less swiping, more living.
Absolutely.
We lived through the peak of the digital hype cycle. We let the pendulum swing entirely toward virtual convenience, and we felt the biological and emotional consequences of that isolation. But now, the pendulum is swinging back.
It really is.
Choosing in-person connection in a digitally saturated world is a powerful, transformative act that leads to a richer life.
It's an intentional reclaiming of our humanity. The serendipity, the trust, the shared laughter, they simply do not transmit through fiber optic cables. They require the physical presence of another human being.
They really do. The technology will always be there, but the real world is happening right now. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Our hope is that this conversation encourages you to log off and go experience the real world.
And as you move through the rest of your day, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. The next time you find yourself in a crowded room, instinctively reaching for your phone to check an app, just pause.
Yeah.
Ask yourself, what spontaneous, unfiltered, real-world connection might you be swiping away right in front of you?